Παυλίτο! Το προηγούμενο ήταν στα ελληνικά. Τώρα αυτό είναι στα αγγλικά όμως τώρα που μπήκες.
Hi.
Καλά! Can you hear me all right?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good.
All right, so hello and welcome. Thanks so much for doing this with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, first things first. If you could tell us a few things about yourself.
Sure. Well, hi everybody. My name is Keisha Greaves. I am from Cambridge, Massachusetts, so I live over here. And I am 36 years old and I live with a muscle disease called Limb-Girdle Muscular Dystrophy.
Mm-hmm. So, do you have maybe ear? Because I can hear myself. I think when you were that,
Oh, I don't have any.
that's okay. We will have to push through.
Yes.
All right. So you were, because I did research about things and about you. So I saw that you were diagnosed when you were 24.
Yes, correct.
But I want to ask, is that something that only was like it was only in your case? Is it something that you're born with it? Is it something that it could happen like when you're 40, when you're 20? Like how does all that like how does it how did it happen? What do the doctors?
It's so crazy. I'm still trying to figure out how it happened too. Nobody in my family seems to have it. And it just seems like one of those things like you're not necessarily born with it, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like it comes on in people's lives in their early adult, later on in adult life. Because a few people I chat to in my muscular dystrophy support group also said they was diagnosed in their late 20s like I was. And I'm like, it's so crazy. Nobody in my family has it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I just started to get really weird symptoms where my leg would just kind of give out on me. And my leg, it was just like repeatedly falling and I was unable to get myself back up. So that's when I'm like, what's going on? My mom was like, go to a doctor. Let's go see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
So it's not something like because a lot of the times they say that you can actually see things that if you do like a blood test, you're like, okay, yes, maybe in 30 years I will be diagnosed with this or
Right.
that. Is that something that applies in this case, or is it something that no one knows, like you can't figure it out? It just
Yeah, it just like happens. Like it's just out of nowhere. Like I tell people all the time, you never know what's going on in your body. It's like you can wake up and your body, you could like not walk, your body just starts, forming, doing different things. It's crazy. That it has definitely given me a life lesson that you never know what somebody's dealing with, somebody's going through. And also just like I said, you never know what's going on in your body. Like
yeah.
who would have thought? I'm in my early 20s living my best life in graduate school, merchandising. I went to school for fashion. And then boom, here comes this muscular dystrophy. So it was like, where did this come from?
So how is it diagnosed? Because I say obviously you saw that things were changing, like you said that you were walking. I mean, even like the video that I upload like before our live, which is with like someone has designed it, like which is a little video, like the animation of you,
Yes.
yeah, which I love. Uh,
Yeah.
and it gives like a little story, as you say, like you were just like walking in the supermarket, and your leg would like
Right. It just boom
working.
gave out. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, what's going on? And it had happened a few times before that, but I think I was just brushing it off, just thinking, oh, I need to lose weight. No big deal. But, my mom and sister noticed it too. Like, something's not right. Like, you keep falling. Like, what's going on?
Is it so? It was just your leg.
It was just the legs at the time, but then I also noticed when I started to do like exercising, like I couldn't raise like my right arm. Like I
Mm-hmm.
noticed like I couldn't extend it out like how I used to. And I'm like, oh, something's weird. I'm just like, something's not right.
So How, so you got the doctors, like, how is it diagnosed? Like, how can someone, like, what doctor do you have to go to? Like, is it a blood test? Is it, like, how does it work?
Sure. So when I first started following, my mom was like, "Oh, let's go see an orthopedic," because they deal with something in the feet. Because we're thinking it just deals with something in the feet. So we
Yeah.
go see an orthopedic out here in Boston at Tufts Medical Hospital, and I always remember that examination. I go in, the doctors come in, they're like, raise your right leg, raise your left leg, and both legs would not extend out as it should, and
Hmm.
they just both look at each other puzzled, like, they were puzzled as much as I was, like the leg would not extend out. So they said maybe you need to deal with the neurology because they more deal with the neuromuscular. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the first time I never, seen a neurologist. So I went to go see a neurologist, and I love her. I still see her to this day, Dr. Catherine Wang, and we go straight to it. She gives me a EMG, where it's like kind of needles that go inside your body to kind of see how the muscles react. I got an EMG, MRI, but the
Yes.
most interesting of all was when they did the muscle biopsy, where they took a piece of muscle from out of my right leg. And I was awake for that. I was not asleep. So from that muscle biopsy, that's when they were able to determine I have muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Like, wow. Yeah, that's a lot of tests.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think you have to go through, like, so they figure it out. But I also read that there's like a lot of types of it, so it's not just one.
Yep. There's so many types. So my type is called Limb-Girdle, and then there's a type called Duchenne muscular dystrophy, SMA, which is spinal muscular atrophy. So there's like so many kinds that I'm still learning to this day. And then not only does it go to different types, then it breaks it down to different subtypes, like Limb-Girdle 2A, Limb-Girdle 2B, same with SMA. So it goes into all these different detailed variants. But me right now, I do not know my subtype. So right now, my subtype is unknown. We have taken several testings like blood work,
Mm-hmm.
saliva tests, and they all have came back inconclusive. So until I figure out my subtype, I cannot enter any clinical trials. So that's the cons of that, like the downfall, where it's like I just can't say go to a clinical trial because they can't just try anything on me without knowing my subtype. So that's the part that kind of sucks. But I guess I'm just a mystery, like my neurologist says. Maybe my type might be called like GCR after my business, Girls Chronically Rock, or
Yeah.
something.
Yes, exactly. We will get there also. But
Right.
like, there's always someone that brings a new name. So maybe you will be the start of it. Maybe it will be next
Yeah,
too. So there you go.
maybe.
But is it something that causes you pain, or it's like, for example, when your foot gets numb? Like, how is that feeling? Is it pain? Is it you can't really understand if it's
I would say it's not really pain. I tell people it's kind of like a dead weight, my body. Only time I would feel pain is if like I have a bad fall,
Mhm.
but good thing I wear my lifeline button a lot. So I can like, if I have a fall, like I can hit so the EMT service comes. But mostly if I fall, then I would feel a lot of pain. But as of like pretty much, it's just pretty much a dead weight. It's like I tell people it's hard to explain. Like, so when I fall, it's like no matter how light or big you are, it's like it's still hard for the person to lift a person like myself up because the muscles are just so weak. They kind of like deteriorated. So it's just like dead weight. Like to raise my arm right now, I can't do it unless my caregiver comes and extends my arm out for me, but pretty much it's just kind of like a dead weight. So for me, I don't really feel pain, but it's just kind of like a more fatigue, like exhaustion. Like it's just like sometimes you wake up, we don't know what the body's gonna feel like, where the muscles like feel so tired. People don't understand. For someone like myself, even going in the shower, by the time I come out from the shower, it feels like I just finished running the marathon. So it's like a body's just exhausting, if that makes sense. And other people may deal with pain, but for me personally, I don't feel pain, and I also have a high tolerance for pain, so that could be why, but it's just mostly like fatigue, like it's just kind of like dead weight.
okay? Okay. I mean, that was a good explanation, though. So,
Oh, good.
but what is there something that actually helps that? So, is it maybe if you do physio, is it like vitamins, pills, something like? How does it? Like, what do doctors say about it?
Sure. So like as of for instance, there's not really no treatment, there's no cure or anything for muscular dystrophy at the moment. Only cure or treatment is mostly physical therapy. So physical therapy is something I do at home now. A physical therapist comes to my home and I do it like twice a week. But
Okay.
starting next week, I'm going to be going outpatient, where I'm going to be going to Spalding, which is a rehab, and they have more equipment. Like I can probably use a standing frame. They
Mm.
have a pool. Aquatic therapy is so amazing for people like myself, you know, because I tell people when I'm in the water, I feel like I'm in a mermaid because I can do things in the water that I can't do on land. So I'm just in there hopping around where if I opposed to on land, I can't like say walk or do jumping jacks, but the water just kind of gives us that flexibility, and that's what I love. So they say aquatic therapy is the best kind of treatment for someone dealing with the muscle disease like myself.
Okay. So it's only because if for example, there's something like not people, but usually we have like so many posts about everything nowadays. Uh,
Yep.
so it's nothing that could help you in that way, let's say. It's
Yeah,
only
pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, so there's like no treat, there's not like really a pill. Like I take vitamin D3 every day, but it's not necessarily for the muscular dystrophy, if that makes sense. It's just like they say weight and exercise, yes, that may help, but no matter what, it's like I tell people we don't have control over our muscles regardless of, we could be the skinniest person on this earth. And you know, and it's like this muscular dystrophy is taken over regardless of how much exercise and physical therapy we use. I'm just being honest. It's pretty much like this got control over us. It's not like, you know, we can say, oh, the muscle stop, you know, slow down. It's like really nothing we can do that can stop it.
I mean, I can't get what you're saying. I mean, I get it 100%. It's like saying, like the example I gave before, that it's like if your foot got numb or your arm, it doesn't matter if you're overweight or you're like a say skinny. Like if that goes numb, you can't really do much about it.
Right.
You don't have any control over it.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like, if it's a situation like that where my foot may feel numb, sometimes that may happen when I'm sleeping or fall asleep, and then I just try to move up the foot up and down as much as I can because I don't really have much movement unless my PCA is there with me. Like, for instance, when I go in the bed, I pretty much sleep on my right hand side,
Mhm.
so I can't like pretty much move in the middle of the night unless a PCA comes in. Like, I can't say turn to my left and oh, let me change my positions. I'm pretty much in one position all night.
Mhm. I saw, I don't remember what the video or a picture because I saw it on your profile, that you're in a car. Are you able to drive?
I was able to drive prior to, you know, my things like muscular dystrophy in the beginning. I was
Mhm.
able to drive. I used the cane, able to work merchandising. But then over time, the disease does progress, which the doctor did say that. So as of right now, I'm in the wheelchair permanently, so I can't walk. I'm wheelchair bound, but I do have an accessible vehicle, but my caregivers drive it. So I don't drive it, but the plus about a car is that it comes out like it's accessible for me for my wheelchair. So the ramp comes out so I can go in, my PCAs buckle me in, and then they drive it. So I no longer drive. I'm like, I'm done with that now.
Yeah, you have driving everywhere. Like that's
Yes,
the
I tried.
now that you said that about the car, because I remember with this other woman saying about the car, I asked her because I usually do ask because I have people all the time that are from all over the place. So I have people from the US, like depending obviously who I approach. But obviously all the governments are different in every country. So I mean, obviously you're happy like this, but that government you enough like because I remember saying I don't remember which part from the US, but she was saying that of issues like with being able to manage to get like the car that would be exactly how it should be for her needs. Like is that I mean in general, not just for a car, but in general, does the government help you at the level that you think it should?
I think it does help me, but I think it can do a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you know, like but I understand like what you mentioned where, you know, same thing with the accessible vehicle where they can accommodate. And if I wanted to drive it myself, they do have equipment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for people with a disability so we can drive. They have the different steering wheels and things like that. But I must say, like, I'm a little annoyed with my insurance right now because I'm looking, as I mentioned, I can no longer stand up or walk. And I'm looking to get this new power wheelchair where this wheelchair helps me stand up, and
Mm-hmm.
they denied me twice. And I am really, really upset about that because I'm like, how dare you? it's like, and I'm getting doctor's notes. It's not like I'm just asking for a wheelchair. They are well aware that I had a huge bad fall in March. I had to go into a rehab facility. So it's like with this wheelchair, it actually helps you stand up. I actually posted it on my Facebook feed a few weeks back, and I tried it out, and I'm like, I love this. It would help with my blood circulation. I would be able to extend and stretch out the body. So that was pretty disappointing and sad that they denied me, because I'm like, I need this wheelchair. So I'm in the process of still fighting with that right now, and I'm hoping I can get it approved, because the wheelchair is not cheap. Those wheelchairs are like $40,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're expensive, and I need the insurance to cover that.
So why can't you have that though? Like, what are
Exactly. I think it's because the wheelchair I have now, they bought me this in 2019. And according to like Mass Health, our insurance out here in Massachusetts, they say like they only pay for new wheelchairs every 5 years.
Okay.
But it's like people change. Their disease progress over time. So not everybody's going to be in the same place I was when I got this chair in 2019 to now. I wasn't expecting to have that bad fall. I wasn't expecting not to be able to stand up and walk again. So it just sucks that they denied me this wheelchair, because I'm like, I'm not asking for it just for style. I'm asking for it because I think this is going to help my daily quality of life. So it's just disappointing that they denied me. So but I'm not giving up. I'm like, they need to give me that wheelchair.
Especially I agree so much with you, because I see it daily with things that, when people have, as you say, like everyone's needs change all the time, especially when we are talking about, like, as you say, you weren't expecting, like, you were going to have that fall in March, or you didn't expect that this is going to progress. Maybe you thought it was going to, like, you don't know what happened. You said it at the beginning of the life that we don't know what's going on with the body. I mean, but you don't know at the same time. You don't know how you're gonna wake up tomorrow morning.
Exactly. It's so true.
And it's crazy because I don't understand like where the issue is, as you're saying. Like, I don't understand why they're denying you that's actually gonna better your life. And it's not
exactly
not like you want a fancy car and you're like, okay, yeah, that car.
exactly.
Like I don't feel that's crazy. Like, so how could you go? Like, would you have to go like through a lawyer? Like, how does it work?
I am going to just try to make as much publicity and, recognition on it. Like, I was thinking about making a video, posting it on my social media page. I was thinking about reaching out to our governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, to see if something he can do, and also the mayor of my city in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and see if there's something that we can do to get my wheelchair, because, I mean, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yes, that's good. No, you shouldn't give up. I'm all about that. Like,
yes, thank you.
sure. And especially, I feel that I mean, not a feel, that's how it is. Like, social media is such a big thing nowadays. So, like, definitely, like, do that video and, like, make people share it. I mean, I would definitely share it.
Yes, thank you. Yep, that's what I'm thinking about. I just got to think about how I want to say it and what exactly I want to say in the video.
No, I agree with you so much. Like, you should do that, because I feel that when you make something like public, and you actually, yeah, I don't feel it's complaining, but I'd say, when people have that, they would do something. Like, if you make it public,
it's true.
About it, people
like you said, it's all about the social media.
Yes,
getting something going viral, and then it's like that's when people want to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. So yes, you need to do that 100%.
Yes.
I would actually ask you something, because now you mentioned like your city and everything. Is there a big community? Is there other people that you can approach and talk about? Like, okay, as you say, like this issue that you're having now. Is there a community, not of, at least, not in general about disabilities? Like, I don't know how much percentage of people might have this around the world or in your city.
Like, so here in my city, I've met quite a few. There's like a muscular dystrophy support care center in like all cities across the world. Like, they even have muscular dystrophy camp for young kids. And, of course, I didn't get to go to camp because I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy in early 20s. But yeah, they used to have a lot of support groups here in Boston, Mass. But over time, unfortunately, a lot has changed within the MDA community. But because of those meetup groups in the past, I was able to meet a lot of, especially young girls like myself, that have muscular dystrophy, because that felt really good. And like I tell people all the time, yes, I may get the support of family and friends, but there's nothing, and I mean nothing like talking to somebody who gets and knows what you're going through when you're living with something like muscular dystrophy or any kind of disability or chronic illness. So to have that support of the girls I met here in Boston, but not only that, on Facebook, I'm a part of multiple muscular dystrophy support groups. Limb-Girdle Muscular Dystrophy group, women living with muscular dystrophy, and then also, as I mentioned, how I don't know my subtype. There's also a Limb-Girdle Muscular Dystrophy group for people that don't know their subtypes. So
Okay.
when I see all that, I'm like, oh, it makes me feel like I'm not alone. Like,
Yes.
there's other people out there like me, and that makes me feel good because I can talk to them, ask questions, because I'm like, they get it. They know what it's like living with this every day.
Yes, and that's what I told you, like when I approached you, like from Instagram and stuff, like my also one of the goals of this page is that, because you don't know who's actually gonna see this story. Like it could be a person, but they might find out like, oh, okay, like I thought it was like it's only me. That's what I'm do, because you never know who can see like this story and how they can.
Yep, it's so true.
Yes, and make them not feel alone. Like, I mean, the world is like the earth is like there's a lot of people. Like, but
Yes, that's true.
yes, but what you said, I've also heard it from other lives that I've done. That they said like, yes, my family's there for me, or like my friends or whatever, but like, it's not the same as someone that's going through the same thing as I am.
Yep, it's true. That is so true. That is something I learned along the way. And I'm like, there is nothing like talking to somebody who gets it.
Mm. No, so it is good. You see, that's another positive thing of social media. Like you can connect with people around the world. And
Yes, that's the thing. Another thing I noticed too, because when I was first diagnosed, I was in total denial. When that doctor told me that day, oh, Keisha, you have muscular dystrophy. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, who are you talking to? I thought maybe she called the wrong patient. And then, of course, like some of us, I started Googling and what's muscular dystrophy that day she called me. And, going on the website is not the best. So I just started reading not such great things. There's no treatment, no cure. Some people may not live a certain, after a certain age. So I'm just like, she called the wrong person. It wasn't me. So when I was in denial for quite some time, it took a while to come out my shell. Even when I started working and using a cane, I would tell them like I sprained my ankle or I was in a car accident. And then it wasn't until, like you said, social media. I'm like so grateful for social media today, especially hashtags, because I, came onto Instagram eventually when I started coming out my shell at that time,
Mhm.
and using hashtags such as like muscular dystrophy, hashtag chronic illness, hashtag disability awareness. And I tell people that all the time because people may ask, so what advice do you give somebody to someone else that newly diagnosed? And I'm like, that's such a tricky question because I'm like, we all deal with things differently. Like there's someone I have met where they was just diagnosed, say today, and tomorrow they're sharing about it. They're on YouTube, starting a channel. And I'm like, wow, like that's pretty awesome because I'm like, that surely was not me. Like you could not tell me I had muscular dystrophy. I was like, no way. So just using those hashtags and then connecting with so many other people that have MS, muscular dystrophy, it's like, it made me feel like I'm not alone. I'm like, oh, so I can chat with them. They get it. So that kind of, helped a little bit too.
How long? Well, not how long, but what helped you actually like to be like, as you say, because at first you were in denial. So what was it that helped you? Because usually, it could be anything. Like people, music helps them, or they helped. I mean, you're like really into fashion. Is that something that helped you also? Like, how did you manage to actually accept it at the end?
It definitely, I mean, it took a while. I told people, I feel like I just probably came out of denial the other day. And I still have my days. I told people, don't get me wrong, just because you may see me on an interview, share my story and be so positive, I'm like, trust me, it's like I said, you never know what someone's dealing with. You never know. Like at night, I could be crying. I could have a fall today and I can just be in a total, like, depressed, mad, bad mood. But, I tell people watching my TV shows and I'm going on social media honestly keeps me sane. I'm a TV fanatic. I tell people that all the time. And just knowing I have a show, some kind of reality show of watching other people's lives is like entertaining for me. But it took some time. It was actually my friend at the time and was like, Keisha, why don't you write a blog sharing your story about being diagnosed? And I'm just like, why would I do that? I was like, I don't have muscular dystrophy. Why would I write a blog? That was honestly what I was thinking. So it was one day I was like, all right. So I just opened my laptop and just started writing,
Mm.
talking about all the symptoms, just like how I am with you now, being at the supermarket, repeatedly falling. And it was like at that moment, as I started writing it and typing it and saying it out loud, I was like, wow, I have muscular dystrophy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took that moment, never mind what the doctors were saying. Like, you know, although the test results, everything came back positive for muscular dystrophy, I'm like, she don't know what she's talking about. But it was like, as I started typing and saying it out loud, I'm like, wow, I have muscular dystrophy. That's crazy. So that kind of like opened up the shell a little bit. And then when I posted that first blog, I got so much positive feedback, you know, from friends that I even chatted to for on a regular basis. And they're like, Keisha, I didn't even know you was dealing with that. So it's just like, you know, that's just to show like how in denial and secretive I was of just, you know, keeping that in. So if you had asked me a few years back, Keisha, do you see yourself interviewing or sharing your story? I'll be like, no way, you know, because I'll be like, why would I? Because I don't have muscular dystrophy. So to see how open I am now being an advocate for the disability community, and definitely has opened my eyes to just everything. As much as like even going places, I have to make sure it's accessible as far as details of adaptive, accessible clothing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's like opened my eyes, and I would say my family and friends' eyes too, of just, you know, part of this disability world. Because like I said, I was only diagnosed with it in my early 20s. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it kind of opened up and opened our eyes for like everybody close around me.
So, since you touched upon that, like our main topic, you need to talk about your fashion line. Like, you need to give all information. Like, just take it. The life is yours. Like, tell us all.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, so I did got my undergraduate degree from Framingham State University, fashion design and merchandising. I always had a passion for fashion. I looked up to designers such as Tommy Hilfiger, Kimora Lee Simmons, and Betsy Johnson, and I would still love to work with them today. So when we're done, we can tag them in this video, trying to get their attention. So I always knew I wanted to be a business owner, but of course, as we know, life took a turn. I had a business plan and everything because I was actually going to open a boutique, and I wanted to name the line after my grandmother, my late grandmother that passed from cancer. So of course, after being diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, of course that put a damper on things. I was just like, you know, what does my future hold? What is going to happen? Like I was just kind of all over the place, not accepting that. So I'm a true believer though, and things do happen for a reason. So when I started to come out of my shell in denial at that time, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time I'm kind of create something like a t-shirt line, because I'm a huge t-shirt fanatic. As you can see, I have one of my t-shirts on now, and I love anything with like inspirational or graphic quotes, anything like that, anything tie-dye online, whatever, my line or not, I'm buying it. I'm just like have like a fetish with like anything graphic. So I thought, why not start off and create a t-shirt line to help inspire and motivate others in the disability community? So I wanted things to create things that were like meaningful to me, like the one I have on now, Trust Your Dopeness. Trust and believe in yourself that you can accomplish and do anything you want. I also have Hello, my name is Chronically Ill Badass. Because I'm like, yeah, we may have a disability, but we're chronically badasses as well.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was so important to just kind of create, especially with everything that happened in the Black Lives Matter movement. I wanted to create something in the past that said Black Lives Matter. But not only that, I also created something that said Black Disabled Lives Matter, because I thought that was important. I'm like, here I am as an African American minority, but also have a disability as well. So sometimes I feel like I have two targets on my back. So I kind of like to express my feelings and journeys of what I'm going through my t-shirt line. So that's what I kind of have right now. But then recently, earlier this year, I recently launched an adaptive swimwear clothing line called
I
Adaptive Splash.
I was like, yes, like, boom.
Yes. I always wanted to create a swimwear line because, as I mentioned earlier, I go to aquatic therapy twice a week. And I know some people may think, oh, swimsuits is just for like vacation or summer. But I'm like, no, no, no. Someone like myself who goes to aquatic therapy twice a week, for an able bodied person, just, you know, when you come out from the pool or from the beach, how that water, that swimsuit just sticks to you and it's like a hassle to take off. So imagine someone like myself in a wheelchair, holding on for dear life to hold my balance. So I'm like, I want to create something that's kind of more accessible, going to be easier and functional for me to take on and off. So right now I have like three styles. I have one like off the shoulder, color blocking. It has cheater, pink, and black, and it has accessible snaps on the shoulder. So it will kind of easier for me to take off, for me and my PCA to get dressed when going to the pool. And then when I come up from the pool, we can easily just snap the shoulder off on the shoulders, and then it will come off much easier. So I'm like, look at that, because I'm like, just having that motivation, knowing I have an adaptive, accessible swimsuit is going to make motivated for me to go into the pool, and I think others. So right now it's just for women at the moment, but I do plan to add a men's line as well. Because where I go to aquatic therapy, there's a lot of men that go to exercise as well. So I'm like, we're in the pool all year round, summer or not.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Like when I saw it, because I actually saw that one, and I was like, I mean, I've said it in so many lives that it doesn't really matter, because whenever I do the live, I get a lot of, like we had the call before the live and all that.
Yeah.
Have like people say to me like, like, what's your disability? Because like people are like, you must have something because these people. And I'm like, no, because that's the thing, that we have this idea that only like, people with disabilities, that's all, like the people that don't have the disabilities, those are the people that have to actually do things, because like in especially usually in the government, all that they're in charge of everything. Usually you don't see people with disabilities.
Yeah.
And so usually you don't get people thinking about the people that have the disabilities. How are the ways to help them? As you say,
Right.
like for the swimwear, like that should be something that should be in every life. Like, that big companies should be doing.
Exactly. And I'm hoping so, because I'm excited. Tommy Hilfiger now has an adaptive line. I don't think he made swimsuits yet, but he did make some adaptive clothing for people with disabilities. So I thought that was awesome, especially looking up to him as a designer. I'm like, yeah, Tommy. So I thought that was awesome. So it seems like more stores and more designers are getting into it, because they say in the next few years the adaptive fashion is going to be like a $38 billion industry. So I'm like, people got to get cracking on it.
Sure, for sure. But yeah, you need to like, I mean, I don't know, like, but you need to get the word out there, like, because it's
I'm
amazing
trying.
doing, and obviously it can help so many people, because I feel that if someone might be going through like what you're going through, they might think of like, I want to go to the pool, but it's just so hard that I'm not gonna do it. And you are
Right.
open in that way.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like I said, I take it day by day. I still have my days, but doing like focusing on the business, doing interviews with people like you, or people I get messages like, "Oh, I love you. I just watched your interview and I love what you're doing." Because, sometimes you could doubt yourself, and sometimes you may not think some people are paying attention. I'm like, "Oh, wow. Like, oh, wow, people like my interview." And I'm like, I don't even like hearing myself, my voice. So that, things like that keep me going and motivated as well.
No, I actually wanted to ask you for an interview. Probably when I first started, I started because it's fairly new. I started around, I think it was February or March. Really new. So I've been following you for quite some time. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you at the beginning, like she would decline, like she's not gonna want to do it. Like,
No. Well, I'm glad you asked.
yeah, so it's amazing. Like I think you just need like times to be like, it's the same with what you're doing with the line, out there. Like ask for what you want, otherwise the answer is always,
Yep, that's what my mother always said. She was like, the person can either say yes or no. And I'm
yeah.
like, it's so true. You don't know till you ask.
No, exactly. But yeah, you never know. Like what? Yeah, I'm not anyone in government or whatever. But yeah, so I'm very happy for life, to be honest.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad we were able to do this as well.
Uh, I wanted to ask you also, because I saw that you are an ambassador.
Yes, I am the ambassador now, the national ambassador for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So I used to be the state ambassador just for Massachusetts, maybe 3-4 years ago. And then earlier this year, they asked me to be the national ambassador. So I'm excited about that, just to bring more awareness about muscular dystrophy. And of course, due to COVID, some things we're doing a lot virtually, like, I'm doing for the ambassador role. But hopefully when things open back up, I believe I'll probably be traveling and doing different things, meeting with researchers, just to kind of bring that awareness to the muscular dystrophy. Maybe I'll be able to find my subtype out there.
Yeah, yeah, maybe you never know. But
Yeah.
so, are you able to like do speeches now? I mean, obviously, I know COVID. I don't know how COVID over there.
It's getting better. I am fully vaccinated. I'm happy about that. I've been vaccinated since earlier of February 2020.
Okay.
So yeah, so I am 2021. I'm like, wait, what date are we in?
But yeah, because I was like, I did it. on March.
Time is flying, yes. So
Yeah.
so earlier this year I was fully vaccinated. So as of right now for the ambassador role, I've mostly been doing virtual speaking things, me having Zoom meetings, which is totally fine because they want to protect us. Of course, we have muscular dystrophy. Some of us are considered at high risk. But I'm hoping once things open back up, maybe I'll get to travel and meet people in person. But as of right now, we're doing what we can and we do everything virtually online.
Mm-hmm. So I saw, I don't remember if it was a live or something that I saw with you. You were talking about something with schools. I go and do like speeches like in schools and let people like,
Oh, that could be maybe my nonprofit, the GCR Adaptive Project.
yeah,
Because
maybe.
I opened that earlier this year, right before 2021, and it's called the GCR Adaptive Project, kind of like a spinoff of Girls Chronically Rock. And the
Mm-hmm.
GCR Adaptive Project consists of, because as of right now, I'm actually working with the school I graduated from, Framingham State University Fashion Department, where I'm teaching the students about adaptive fashion. Because of course, this is something I did not know in school. I didn't have a disability, so it's just so crazy how you don't know or your eyes doesn't open up to things until you kind of experience it. And like I said, this adaptive fashion is going to be like a $38 billion industry, in the next few years. So it's like, why not teach these students so by the time they get out of school, they know about adaptive fashion and the importance of how people with disabilities, we like to dress up and we have a good time. We go out, we're not just in the house, so we want to be fashionable as well, but just have to have it more functional and accessible. So I'm working with Framingham State University, but I'm also looking to branch and chat with other universities like Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, Parsons. Out here in Boston, there's Mass College of Art, and they also have a fashion program. So I'm looking to get them involved as well. So it's still something new, but as of right now, it's just Framingham State. But I'm looking to get all the colleges involved, like to kind of work with the fashion students and maybe hopefully then grow the nonprofit and get like scholarships for the kids, because people don't understand being in a fashion department, the school doesn't pay for those supplies. I said to this day, like, thank God for my mother, because I'm sure I was a nag every time, I had to buy fabric, a sewing machine, thread. And it's like, I'm really grateful because I'm like, she is, she was like my ride or die. She was giving me, the money to pay for it. And I'm very, very grateful for that, because I'm like, I was not, I wasn't having the money. So I really greatly appreciate her support. So I just like try to tell people too, I'm like, yeah, in fashion school, they don't pay for our supplies. Like we just for the, not just the books, we got to pay extra for the fabric. So I think that'll be so important to have for the GCR Adaptive Project, kind of like, so it eventually grows and gets scholarships, to help the students buy the fabric, especially for adaptive fashion. They're going to need magnetic buttons, accessible zippers, and it goes into so much detail people don't understand. So yeah, that's my new baby right now, the GCR Adaptive Project, and I'm looking to make it grow, to, branch off in other colleges.
That's amazing. My God, you're doing so many things.
Everybody says that, and I'm like, am I? Maybe
No,
sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough.
no, it's amazing because you get. I feel it's like when something happens to you, like whatever that might be, like it could be anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be, as you found out when you were 24, but it could be anything. You could lose someone, like you could lose someone that you like. You could lose your partner, for example. And I feel there's
Yeah.
usually two sides to it. Or you can achieve a lot, or you just gonna sit there and cry about it.
Exactly, it's true. It's
We,
definitely true. So I take it day by day.
yes, exactly, for sure. But it's amazing because you're changing the world here. And I'm not, that's what it is, because like you say, like you're doing all this like with quality and obviously with your line, like it's amazing because we need that. Like we need that. We need people to make the world better. Like
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah, we definitely do.
But I didn't know that. Like, I'm surprised because I didn't know you actually have to buy your own fabric and stuff. Like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So even if it's like a private school, you're still gonna like pay for it.
Yep. Exactly. It's exactly like I said. Thank God for my mother, because it was a lot that I had to buy, and I'm like, this is a lot for a student, especially imagine you don't have the support of your family. Because I'm like that, it was a lot. So yeah, so I'm looking to, hopefully I want to get the word out more about the GCR Adaptive Project, get more universities involved, because I think it could be something big.
Yes, for sure, for sure. But okay, so the next thing I want to ask, because I saw that you said, you want to get your clothes and your like obviously into
Target.
and things like that. But how hard is that? Because I have no idea. Like, how does it work?
It's pretty hard. It goes into so much detail. And what I realize in this world, I'm sure you know, it's all about who you know. In this world, it's like not even about you have a degree. It's all about that connection. So me just trying to connect with so many other fashion designers, different support groups like Boston Business Women, Women Helping Women. I realize you kind of never know who's in that group, who knows what. So I noticed that has helped me along the way. And I recently joined an incubator called the Brooklyn Fashion Incubator. They out of Brooklyn, New York, and they have a lot of connections. And so as of right now, we're looking to get my line hopefully in Target. So fingers crossed. But I'm always tagging Target on social media. We're gonna tag them on this video. I would like to get my line into Macy's. And then also I think it would be awesome to get my line in like hospital gift shops. Like, where I go to Spalding, like there's a gift shop there, Mass General Hospital out here, in my area. Like I'm like to have the adaptive line in my t-shirts sold in the gift shops, I think would be great. So I'm looking to get it in there as well.
You need to bring it to the UK.
Yes. I don't mind doing that.
You know what? Sometimes I think like sometimes it's easier to do something in a different country from your own.
I heard that, and I've been thinking about that too. Because I'm like, my family is from Barbados, and I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder if I should start something out there as well. Because like,
No,
I've heard that.
yes, because if I mean obviously like yeah, say like try like because you're there, but what is there to lose like by sending like maybe some email to like shops like in the UK
Yeah,
could work because of
yeah.
this.
So maybe I'll make it out there to the UK. Never know.
No, that's great. Speak of how amazing your classes are.
Oh, you said the classes. Oh, thank you, guys. And I tell everybody, I'm like, they're not prescription. I'm a weirdo. When I was younger, I always wanted glasses. I begged my mom. I'm like, I want glasses. She takes me to the eye doctor. I have 20/20 vision. She's like, you don't need glasses. So these ones are just kind of pretty much, I wear them for fashion statement. If I'm doing like an interview or Zoom, I have like a huge collection in my bedroom. I get them from, I think they're called Vogue Me, like FOOGUME. And they have some really awesome, some cool ones.
No, crazy. Like I've seen like other glasses. Oh, and your hair, you keep changing your hair, and I'm like, oh, like,
Thank you.
thank you so much for today. I think we've covered like almost everything that I wanted to.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if there's anything that you want to say and get out there.
Sure. Anybody listening or yeah, go to www.girlschronicallyrock.com. My Instagram is girlschronically_rock.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, Girls Chronically 1. And yeah, check out my merchandise. Email me. Let me know if you have any questions. I love hearing from people. Even if you don't buy anything, just message me and on IG or email me. And yeah, I always love meeting new people, especially in the disability community.
Yes, for sure. Don't think about it too long because I was to text you from February, and it's.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we were able to do this. We must do it again.
No, for sure. And I need to do something with your merch. Like that's what I do usually with the lives. Like whenever someone has like merch in any way or they've created something or anything, I always like to buy it and like do like a giveaway or something. So we need to talk about that. And I'm definitely gonna be buying things because I'm the same as you. Like I love anything that has to do like with the. Have I lost you? Are you here? Can you hear me?